Oh, pirates, they rob I.
These are songs for an unusual audience. Today, 10 News was invited inside Donovan State Prison for really a unique performance.
And new at 5:30, reporter Joe Little was there to see how it hopes to inspire the inmates who could one day be your neighbor.
I hurt myself today.
It's a somber song for what you'd expect to be a somber crowd.
What have I become?
But Robert Byrd wants people to feel the emotion.
When you pick up the guitar, an acoustic guitar, you start playing it, you feel it resonate through your body.
Resonate through your body, your mind, and your heart. Maybe a hard sell, especially for lifers like Shawn Khalifa.
I was a part of a burglary, and my co-defendants unfortunately attacked the homeowner, and he did die.
Khalifa and dozens of Donovan correctional inmates are here to listen and be inspired by Wayne Kramer.
But for a few years, I was known as 001801990.
A prisoner himself in the 70s.
Oh, pirates, they rob I.
Now a legendary guitarist who spreads the love of music through his program, Jail Guitar Doors. He brought his talent.
None of them can stop time.
And 12 new Fender guitars for the inmates.
These guitars represent a challenge. Sign up for our songwriting workshop program. Amazing things will happen.
Amazing things through music.
Redemption song.
It's easy to connect with, and you make a powerful connection with making music directly yourself.
Kramer's gift allows instructors like Robert Byrd to teach the inmates how to play.
Teach them how to express themselves.
Emotions like pain, fear, and happiness.
You can't unlearn music. That's one of the things that keeps me going, is that I notice an extraordinary change.
A change that can prepare Khalifa for life beyond these walls. He's been behind them for 14 years.
I think if I keep working and maturing, I'll have a chance.
A chance to be free
Away.
by letting the music resonate through his heart.
There you go.
Inside Donovan Correctional, Joe Little, 10 News.
This was the first time Wayne Kramer has performed at Donovan Correctional, but it's the 100th time he's played for inmates.
I followed some older kids in my neighborhood to what I thought they were going to burglarize a home.
This is Shawn Khalifa describing the biggest mistake of his life.
I thought maybe I could go steal something from the house.
It was January 2004, and Shawn was just a few days past his 15th birthday. He and a friend acted as lookouts while the other two boys went into the house, according to court documents.
And a few seconds later, the door opens, and the 18-year-old kid, Juan Pena, he grabs me by the shirt and pulls me in the house. And he's yelling. He's like, "Is this what you wanted to see? Is this what you wanted to see?" So I look over to where he's pointing, and Mr. Love is dead on his living room floor.
The two boys had savagely tortured and beat 77-year-old Hubert Love to death. Then they took his car and sped away. In the car, more violence. One of the young men shot his main accomplice in the head. Khalifa swears he had no idea his friends could commit such heinous acts, but he kept quiet. He now says it was because he feared for his own life after seeing one friend murder the other. However, he also takes responsibility for getting into that situation. Looking back, Khalifa admits he was a thief and ran with a bad crowd.
But I was very selfish at that time. At my 15-year-old self, I was clearly becoming a criminal in my neighborhood. Like, we're stealing, I was comfortable with stealing, and for me to be comfortable with the point of leaving Mr. Love on his floor, clearly something was wrong with me, and I had a criminal way of thinking.
Khalifa was convicted of first-degree murder, even though he had no prior knowledge of the killings and wasn't in the house when they were committed. He was sentenced to 25 years to life and spent 3 years in juvenile hall, then was transferred to Donovan State Prison in San Diego. He is serving this sentence because of California's felony murder rule, which allows a defendant to be charged with murder for a killing that happened during a dangerous felony, even if the defendant is not the killer.
If one participant goes off on his or her own and kills somebody, all participants are equally liable for first-degree murder under the felony murder rule.
Kate Chatfield is an advisor at the criminal justice advocacy organization, the Justice Collaborative. She says a new California law limited the rule. It says people can't be convicted of murder unless they were the actual killer, helped the killer, or, quote, acted with reckless indifference to human life. The new law says people sentenced under the felony murder rule can apply for resentencing.
SB 1437 is not just a get out of jail free card for people who are in prison. They have to petition the Superior Court in their county in which they were sentenced.
Chatfield says there isn't a good tracking system, but she estimates up to 800 people in California could be eligible for reduced sentences under the law. But the law has powerful opponents.
It essentially allows people to get away with murder.
San Diego District Attorney Summer Stephan is one of several California DAs who are opposing the new law in court. They say it violates the state's mandatory minimum sentencing and provides a loophole that savvy killers could exploit.
If they all wear masks and you can't determine who shot the gun, then all 3 or 4 or 2 will get away with murder.
But this doesn't describe what Khalifa did. He helped a robbery that turned into a murder. Stephan says there are other ways people like him can get reduced sentences.
Well, they could petition for resentencing if they truly had a lesser role.
She says San Diego is the first county to cut someone's sentence under the new law that took effect this year. Khalifa has asked the Riverside courts for a lesser sentence multiple times and has been denied. Tomorrow, we'll talk about what it has been like to grow from a boy into a man while behind bars. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
Oh, that was right before.
Oh yeah,
That's right before.
right before he was arrested.
Colleen Khalifa spreads out photos of her son Shawn in her San Juan Capistrano home. Her daughter Jennifer and grandson Jackson lean over the table to look.
Is that your uncle? Jackson, where's Uncle Shawn?
At San Diego.
Shawn Khalifa is in Donovan State Prison. He's 15 years into a sentence of 25 years to life for murder. But no one is claiming he killed anyone.
When Shawn was first arrested, I called people, lawyers, and I said, felony murder. They told me right off the bat, you've lost. You're going to visit your son for the rest of his life in prison.
He acted as lookout for 2 older teenagers when they robbed a house and killed the homeowner. Though Shawn Khalifa had no idea they were going to kill the man and wasn't in the house when the murder took place, he was still convicted of felony murder. This is because of a long-established legal doctrine in California that allows prosecutors to file felony murder charges against suspects, even if, like Khalifa, they weren't directly involved in the killing. But late last year, then-Governor Jerry Brown signed a law that allows prisoners in this position to apply for a lesser sentence. The Khalifas now have hope, but they're still not sure Shawn will be free. That's because district attorneys are challenging the new law in court.
It's been a huge roller coaster. Yes. I mean, we get our hopes up and then the pain all comes back again because we're let down. So the roller coaster ride has been horrendous.
And I've had some hope at different points during my incarceration.
This is Shawn Khalifa on the phone from prison.
And at one point I exhausted my appeal process, so the waiting of appeals was over, and I was just kind of reserving myself to spending my life in prison. So to have this newfound hope, it can be stressful.
Stressful because he feels stuck in a permanent state of limbo.
Because the only thing I can plan for is to be in prison for the rest of my life, and that's the only thing that seems to make life bearable and comfortable is just being acclimated to this environment.
So Khalifa has made a life for himself in prison in case he doesn't get out. He's written books, plays, and has a podcast.
It's extraordinary to have this hope of getting out, but at the same time, that increases one's vulnerability tremendously to disappointments around setbacks.
Alan Mobley runs Project Rebound, which helps people transition out of prison and earn college degrees. He considers the felony murder rule that put Khalifa away a byproduct of the mass incarceration era.
Many laws, draconian in nature, were brought into existence in response to both the politicization and then also increased public concern about drug use and drug trafficking.
In recent years, the pendulum has swung the other way, with national criminal justice reform and state rollbacks to things like 3-strike sentencing. But these changes are often met with resistance.
I just don't believe in unsafe reform that tramples over victims' rights.
San Diego District Attorney Summer Steffen is among the district attorneys challenging the law in court. She says she supports criminal justice reform, but feels the changes to the felony murder rule go too far.
Criminal justice reform has to weigh the constitutional rights of everybody, of victims, of offenders, of public safety.
But some see juveniles with life sentences as victims of a harsh system and of human brain development.
It's kind of a dangerous time for many people, and some adolescents are likely to take risks.
Terry Jernigan runs the Center for Human Development at UC San Diego and leads a national study looking at adolescents' brains.
Young people during adolescence do have a perfectly natural spike in their impulsive behaviors, and this does result in more mistakes in judgment.
And she says court sentences should take that into consideration, though she didn't know about Khalifa's particular case.
So we know that this is a relatively temporary condition, and that the same individuals that will make poor judgments will not be prone to make those same kinds of decisions and judgments at a later point.
Are you going to have fun with your new friends?
Back at the Khalifa household, Colleen is ready for her son to come home.
I know that he's been through a living hell, and I can't believe that he's kept his integrity still intact and his empathy and passion for others.
She hopes he will have the chance to display these traits outside the prison walls. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
Delivering face-to-face calls.
Shawn Khalifa wanders the campus at San Diego State University, taking in the crowds of students rushing to class.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Isn't too much for you right now?
No, I went to the library earlier. I loved it.
College is one of the many things Khalifa missed. He went to prison at age 15 and is now 31. He's touring SDSU with the hopes of enrolling as a student in a few years.
That's Khalifa heaven, is a library.
His life took a dark turn when, as a teenager in Riverside County, he participated in a home invasion. He acted as lookout while two of his friends savagely beat the homeowner, Hubert Love, to death. Khalifa says the plan was to rob him, but he had no idea they would kill him. But he was still convicted under California's felony murder rule, which allows the defendant to be charged with murder for a killing that happened during a dangerous felony, even if the defendant is not the killer. But then, last year, new hope. A new law removed much of the felony murder rule and allowed prisoners like Khalifa to apply for a lesser sentence. District attorneys in the state, including San Diego DA Summer Steffen, challenged the law change, but this week, the California Supreme Court rejected their challenge. That means there's no question Khalifa will remain free. He sat down with KPBS to talk about his journey.
I started letting it sink in and letting go and starting to embrace the fact that I was going home and it wasn't going to be stopped this time. And I got to embody it and feel it. You could just feel the stress like melt off of you when you kind of know you're going home instead of just thinking it's possible.
Have you spoken to the victim's family at all?
I have not. It would be nice to make living amends and have dialogue with them in the future, but I understand currently my release is not something that they're excited about or happy. They're probably worried and they're going through a lot of stress themselves. So I think the best thing is just time.
What would you want to say to them?
I would just want to let them know that personally, it was a tragedy in my life as well that Mr. Love lost his life. And it's something I have to live with forever, just knowing that I was there, like I showed up and that I didn't get him help that day. That's something I live with the rest of my life, and I'll spend the rest of my life making living amends for that.
So you've been in prison for more than 15 years.
Yeah, 16 exactly, a couple of days over.
Are you worried about fitting back into normal life.
What's so exciting is that when I came back out, it felt like I never left, because I've always been goofy. I've always liked to make people laugh. I've always been silly. But before, I was a criminal, so I thought like a criminal. And I had all these criminal attributes like stealing and lying. But now to be out here and to be able to make people laugh, but have these humble experience that I've gotten, like while in prison, all the groups I'd taken, like all the work I've done on myself, to come out here and now exhibit humbleness, kindness, compassion, helping strangers. Like, I just love it. I'm like super excited. I'm fitting right into society.
Other things that you want to say?
There's a guy named Joshua Nichols who was a former lifer I was hanging out with the other day. He said it's called survivor's guilt, where you feel bad for the guys you left behind. So that's just one thing I want to share, that there's still guys in there that don't need to be incarcerated. So hopefully that's what Restorative Justice does eventually. That's why I'm wearing this shirt.
Shawn Khalifa's mom, Colleen Khalifa, is thrilled to have her son home. She says she doesn't worry about him reintegrating into society at all.
When I see the look of happiness and joy on his face, and I know who he is and his strong character, I can't worry. I can't worry about him because I know he's going to be fine.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
Probably not living in the safest housing environment, because all of the residents that live at this house, and there's 6 of us total, all have jobs.
Shawn Khalifa is standing on the porch of his transitional housing in Talmadge, filming with his phone to show us around.
So we all are out in the community with a potential to bring back coronavirus to our housing.
Khalifa was just released from Donovan Correctional Facility after 16 years. He was charged with felony murder as a teenager and now has served his time. So worrying about getting sick is just one of his challenges right now. Khalifa was counting on getting help from Southwestern College's Restorative Justice program, which provides an opportunity for inmates to take college classes while they're on the inside and continue working toward their degree on the college's Eastern Chula Vista campus when they get out. But like classes everywhere, Khalifa's are now online only. This is not easy for him.
I never did well in school before being incarcerated, so I always had ADHD. It's hard for me to focus and pay attention and just keep my attention on one thing. So online courses, yeah, I'm not enjoying it. I'm grinding it out though, work hard.
Despite Khalifa's challenges, he's doing really well, says Patrice Milkovich, the program's director. She's more concerned about other students.
Those students are struggling to, some of them have housing insecurity issues, food insecurity issues. They don't have work. It's so hard to see people and work with them without having that face-to-face contact, because the relationships that we build are built on trust, and it's very hard to trust somebody over a text message or a phone call.
The pandemic has also kept the program's teachers from being able to go into prisons to hold classes, but they're doing the best they can with this part of the program as well.
We're here at the Chula Vista campus, Southwestern College, getting prepared for our drive-up student packet handoff.
They pick up completed coursework packets from students in prison, let the papers sit for 48 hours while the germs die, then hand them off to teachers. 2 weeks later, teachers drop off the graded work. Milkovich says they're not giving up, especially because their students need help now more than ever.
Trying to be an ambassador or an ombudsman or an agent, to try to help facilitate and navigate through these very crazy times.
As for Khalifa, life outside prison is not exactly what he expected, at least not so far.
Staying in the house on quarantine, I have this unyielding urge to get outside. I don't ever want to be in the house.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
An inspiring story tonight. A young former inmate turned his life around to graduate with honors from a local college. News 8's Tim Blodgett has more.
It's graduation time for Southwestern College, a drive-through celebration for the class of 2021. While it's a huge achievement for any young student, a degree from college was literally an escape for Shawn Khalifa.
My entire life revolved around institutions, and to have college come in and identify us as a college student versus a prisoner, an inmate, versus somebody to be punished, it rejuvenated my life. At the age of 15, Khalifa was a Riverside teen going down the wrong path. He dropped out of high school and was involved with drugs and gangs. That year, he participated in a burglary in which the homeowner was killed. Though he took no part in the homicide, Khalifa was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. If you're around a dangerous felony and didn't actually commit the murder, you could still be held liable. So in that position, I was prosecuted to the fullest extent at the age of 15, tried as an adult. From juvenile detention to Donovan State Prison, Shawn Khalifa was incarcerated for a murder he didn't commit. Though he was labeled a killer by the state and faced a life sentence, he never gave up hope for a better future. So the only thing I could look forward to was to just be at peace. So I found my peace through going to church, but I also found a peace through going to college. Not only did he maintain a 4.0 GPA at Southwestern while he was incarcerated, but became a role model for his fellow prisoners, a population he says is misunderstood. They want to be fed good food. They want opportunities for growth. They want to make their mama proud, which I love doing. I love you, Mom. Shout out Shawn Khalifa. Khalifa's sentence was commuted by then Governor Jerry Brown, and in February of 2020, the parole board released Shawn from prison. After graduating from Southwest, Khalifa was accepted to attend SDSU to further his education in sociology, in hopes that he can turn more young lives around. Hey, I'm going to school, I'm earning degrees, and you can do that too, regardless if you're sentenced to life or you're going home tomorrow. Tim Blodgett, News 8.
This UC Irvine classroom is helping student Shawn Khalifa move past his previous conviction. At just 15 years old, Shawn says he served 16 years for an attempted home invasion that turned deadly. He says education is helping him reshape his life.
I had attained my high school diploma in juvenile hall, which I never thought I would receive. Because when I was initially incarcerated, I was 15 years old. I had a third-grade education. I could barely read and write.
Now Shawn is determined to graduate with a bachelor's degree in sociology this year from UC Irvine, where he receives guaranteed housing, subsidized childcare, and mentorship for formerly incarcerated and system-impacted students through the UCI Underground Scholars Program.
And that's why I continued with higher ed, because it gave me an opportunity to get off the streets and be housed.
Hector Cervantes, director of the Underground Scholars Program, says the goal is to help students motivate each other and move forward through higher education. According to the most recent study by the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, over 68% of offenders that were released in 2017 and 2018 were rearrested within 3 years.
We have the Prison to University Conference. That was one of our early accomplishments that brought practitioners and students together. And so our students, then have the opportunity to connect with formerly incarcerated folks who already are in the workforce, already launching careers.
Now, Shawn is tasked with creating a similar program at a nearby community college with his mindset on his own education.
So the ultimate goal is to earn a PhD and eventually teach sociology. I could teach education, public policy.
Guiding impacted students on a path to higher education.
For young people who serve time in jail, getting out and going on to college may seem unrealistic or impossible.
Yeah, but thanks to a program founded by students who once served time, dozens of newly released inmates are now college students at UC Irvine.
NBC4's Hetty Chang is in Irvine now with one man's story. Hetty.
Carolyn and Michael, Shawn Khalifa has quite a remarkable story, and if you look at the statistics, here at UCI is not where he is supposed to be.
Ciao, sweetie.
Shawn Khalifa is one of the few students you'll see on UCI's campus, carrying a backpack and comforting a baby.
So this is our little baby, our 4-month-old Naima.
But that is just part of the 35-year-old story.
I'm trying to process the words when the juvenile hall staff said, "You're in here for first-degree murder, you're not going home."
Khalifa grew up in state prison. He was 15 years old when he was convicted of first-degree murder for a botched burglary that turned deadly.
When we flee, I turned to my friend, I'm like, man, what, do you think he's gonna get up and call the police on us? And he was like, "No, Shawn, he's dead."
At that moment, Khalifa says he thought he would live and die behind bars. But the years he spent incarcerated, he says, gave him a lot of time to think of the person he wanted to be when he got out after serving 16 years.
Just coming home didn't seem tangible, so you wanted to make the best of your life in there. And I think that's what drove me to look towards programs.
Khalifa turned to programs like the Underground Scholars Program, which gave him a path to higher education.
If these programs didn't exist, you don't have something that's going to remove the barrier that's going to lead to recidivism.
He is one of 44 students at UCI, all formerly incarcerated, all now pursuing their college degrees.
How you doing, bro?
How's it going? Good
Pretty
to see
good. Good to see you. Definitely.
Ryan Flacco Rising helped create the program at another UC.
And he told me, like, Flacco, you can go to college.
He's now pursuing his PhD in criminal justice at UCI.
95% of the people who are incarcerated are going to come home and be our neighbors. And so we got to have pathways for them to become successful neighbors and to become successful, productive community members.
I think where I would be without the Underground Scholars, I would have initially been homeless in Riverside. Where I would have been from there, I have no idea.
Khalifa now has 2 daughters with his wife Maria. He's finishing his sociology degree and is on track to graduate from UCI in June. This is a life, he says, his 15-year-old self could never imagine.
So imagine now living that fantasy. You don't want to let it go.
Khalifa's story does not end there. After graduation, he plans on pursuing his master's degree in public policy. He eventually wants to return back to the state prison system to help others. Live from Irvine tonight, Hetty Chang, NBC4 News.
Fascinating story.
In the meantime, among the 8,000 plus graduates at UC Irvine this year is a student who spent nearly half of his life in prison.
We first told you about Shawn Khalifa in February and how he found a path to higher education behind bars. NBC4's Hetty Chang spoke with him ahead of tonight's graduation and found out that his education won't end here.
I'm graduating with a bachelor's of arts in sociology.
35-year-old Shawn Khalifa never imagined he'd be putting on a cap and gown.
Oh my God. So it always existed as a dream. This was always a far-fetched dream that if you said it out loud, you would get skepticism. You would probably get one person saying, "Good for you to have that dream. Keep it up."
Tonight, he will walk on UC Irvine's commencement stage with thousands of his peers. But Khalifa's journey here is unlike any other.
I was convicted under felony murder where I didn't actually commit murder. I was never accused of committing a murder. I was accused of committing a burglary. But under the law, if you're responsible for the burglary, you're responsible for the murder. And that's how I earned a murder.
Khalifa is now a father of 2 girls. In 2004, he was a 15-year-old with a group of friends when they broke into a home in the city of Paris. One of the teens shot and killed the homeowner. Under California's then felony murder rule, a jury convicted Khalifa of first-degree murder because he was involved in the burglary. He served 16 years of a 25-year sentence, where Khalifa says he spent a lot of time thinking about what he wanted for his future.
But now the dream's a reality. So it just speaks to the fact that if you can't see it, but you can hope and dream about it, then it can happen. You just don't extinguish your own hopes and dreams because 9 out of 10 folks don't see your hopes and dreams.
Khalifa is one of 17 students graduating this year with UC Irvine's Underground Scholars Program, which gives recently released inmates a pathway to college, and for Khalifa, a second chance at life.
I am so proud of him because even though he's against all odds, everything is, was going up against him, and the tenacity that he has, is the passion that he has for the kind of work that he's doing is just so inspiring.
Khalifa will go on to pursue his master's in restorative justice. He hopes to inspire his daughters who will be watching him walk tonight. It's not lost on him that this is Father's Day weekend, and he's a grad and a dad.
I hope they get that sense of resiliency, and that when they do get older and they learn their dad's story, They know that anything is possible and nothing can shake them.
In Irvine, Hetty Chang, NBC4 News.
Graduation season here in San Diego, and tens of thousands of people walking across the stage to get their diplomas, including one man who just graduated with a master's degree from the University of San Diego. As NBC7's Adonis Albright explains, while his journey was quite different than some of his peers, it was far from a lonely one.
It never seemed like a possibility, and I never initially had a desire to get a master's degree.
Shawn Khalifa.
Shawn Khalifa is celebrating his graduation from the University of San Diego's Restorative Justice program.
Connected, had conversations about it.
Speaking to him here on campus, you wouldn't know he spent half of his life behind bars at Donovan State Prison. Khalifa was running with the wrong crowd in his adolescence.
So that slowly became my reality.
What he thought would be tagging along with friends for a simple home robbery resulted in an attack on someone's life.
I was legally responsible for first-degree murder because of statute. My punishment was 25 years to life.
Although Khalifa played the lookout during that robbery, he was convicted at 15 years old because of California's felony murder law. That very same law was amended in 2018, allowing him to apply for resentencing and paving the way for his release in 2020.
Being able to carve out a future for yourself isn't easy, even less so for someone who was behind bars for years. So it took a program here at the University of San Diego and some tough love from his peers to make it to the finish line.
Having that community is such a game changer to not just survive, but really thrive academically and holistically at a place like this. Everybody deserves a second chance.
In the years since, Khalifa graduated with a bachelor's from UC Irvine as an underground scholar student, met his wife Maria, and had 2 lovely little girls. Khalifa now runs a program for formerly incarcerated students at USD.
You're the only person that can advocate for yourself.
And yet he plans to continue advocating for people behind bars, including teaching administration of justice at Southwestern College. Adonis Albright, NBC7.
And Khalifa says he majored in sociology because it was the only program offered in prison. If given the chance to do it all over again, he would choose to major in theater and pursue acting.